Good morning, everyone. I'm going to do another little segment here this morning about the Me Too movement, um, which is a sexual harassment movement um, that's sweeping the country. It's where young ladies uh, report sexual harassment uh, that is unwanted sexual attention that they're getting on the job or in the workplace. And the reason why I'm doing this is because Ruth Bader Ginsburg gave a little speech at Columbia University where she talked about the Me Too movement, and she talked about some other things too, like prejudice and a few other things, and got into the government running, a little bit of politics, but she tried to steer clear of that. Me Too movement is about young ladies reporting sexual harassment in the workplace, on the job, and yeah, I think it's a good thing that a lot of this sexual harassment has been reported, and people have been fired, and politicians have lost office and so forth. I mean, really blatant sexual harassment that's been going on a long term. And I mean, stuff that's really, really, really super bad type of sexual harassment. Uh, Sexual harassment is a lot like prejudice. Um, it's, if you will, in the eye of the beholder. Um, Someone can, some man can say something to a woman, and it may or may not be construed as sexual harassment. And the same is true of prejudice. Some white person can say something to some black person, and it may or may not be construed as being prejudice. So it's really in the eye of the beholder, and it's a good thing. I don't think that men should be overly aggressive to the point that they are forcing themselves on women. I mean, if a woman says no, she means no. If you ask her out on a date or you ask her out to go to lunch, if she says no, I mean, you should ought to be able to leave it at that. I mean, you may ask her out a couple of times. If she says no a couple of times, it's best to honor her wishes regarding the matter and go on down the road and ask somebody else out. And the thing about it is it's really does hurt a man psychologically, emotionally, and hurt their ego to be rejected. But I mean, that's something a man has to deal with, just like a woman has to deal with being hit on or being asked out to dinner or asked out on dates. Men have stuff that they got to deal with, and women have stuff they got to deal with. I just want to say this about the sexual harassment movement, the Me Too movement, is, like I said yesterday in my little YouTube video, I think that the bad thing about it is that it emboldens a lot of young women to report sexual harassment, that it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt their careers. It's going to cause them to get fired. It's going to cause them to be transferred or get reassigned. And like I said yesterday, businesses, corporations, government offices, the military, the way all the leadership looks at this stuff, they look at it as, we don't have time for this crap. So they will tend to sweep it under the rug. They will tend to transfer people. They will tend to not take the bull by the horns and correct the situation. They'll try to say it didn't happen, counsel the people maybe a little bit and see if they can stop it, or they will transfer people or reassign people. Happens all the time. Now, are you going to stop the Me Too movement? No, you're not going to stop the Me Too movement. Sometimes women have had too much, or they feel that they've been subjected to too much, and they're going to report these issues. The only thing that I would like to caution is, I'd like to caution a lot of young ladies out there, especially in the military and young ladies in government and in businesses and corporations and stuff. Don't think that these businesses and the leadership in these businesses, corporations, military, government offices are going to have an ear that is welcoming what you have to say. You're reporting this sexual harassment stuff. They will not have a welcoming ear. They will listen to you, but they're going to say, oh God, we don't need this. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we don't need this. So like I say, you're going to be reassigned. There may be some counseling going on. You may be able to keep your job. You may not. But that's the issue. Military organizations, they have a mission to accomplish. They have a job to do. Businesses and corporations, they're in business of making money. Government offices are in business of doing what they need to do. So, do people have time for these sexual harassment issues and so forth in government and business? No, they don't have time. Is there going to be a backlash to this Me Too movement? I think very well there probably is going to be a backlash, and already has been a backlash. Is they're going to crack down on these sexual harassment reports early on, and they're going to start entering all this stuff in personnel files. And if you as a young lady report 2 or 3 different guys sexually harassing you, then the way business is going to look at it, or the way any organization is going to look at it, it's not the guys, it's you. Because you're reporting several different individuals. There's a lot of stuff that a person has to deal with in a job, and both men and women. There's a lot of crap that people have to put up with. Dress codes, bosses who are arrogant and who really shouldn't be bosses, who are really not people persons. There's a lot of stuff that people have to put up with in business and in the military. I know I was in the military for 23 years. I put up with one hell of a lot of crap. I put up with a guy who would sit in meetings of his officers and other people, and he would draw pictures. He was like an art major. And this guy was in charge of an engineering unit who had a bunch of young engineers working with it. And he was an art major, and he would sit in the office drawing pictures of various things, while meetings were going on. He clearly didn't have the slightest idea about engineering, and he clearly, intellectually, was not able to tie the shoestrings of the young men and women who worked for him, who were engineers. Now, that goes on in government all the time, and also in the military and in businesses. Your higher-ups, many of them are promoted to higher positions based on who they know, and not necessarily on their qualifications, and not necessarily on their being good leaders. So there's a lot to deal with in business and in the military and corporations and news media outlets and so forth. So I would caution anyone, any young black man or woman reporting prejudice. I would caution any young lady reporting sexual harassment to make sure that if you report this stuff, that you have all your ducks in a row. Don't be reporting things that you can't substantiate, and even if you can substantiate them with voice recordings and lots of other things, realize that a lot of that evidence is going to try to be destroyed. It's going to try to be people are going to try to say there's nothing to it. Organizations not only try to protect the people that work in them, and they also try to protect their reputation. And any leader that has sexual harassment issues going on within his organization is going to be looked down upon by higher echelons in the organization for having that issue going on. And the leadership who has these issues going on will often be reassigned or transferred or fired. So understand that the leadership is going to try to quell any sexual harassment allegations that occur. So I just want to tell all the whistleblowers, all the sexual harassment people that jumping on the bandwagon, reporting this stuff, and reporting prejudice and other things in the workplace. I just want to let you know that you may be listened to by leadership within your organization, but don't think for a minute that they're on your side. They're on their side. They want the issue quelled. They want it stopped. And you may, in fact, be the one that loses out big time by getting reassigned or fired or getting a bad reputation and not being able to get promoted. So please understand that with this little video here, I'm trying to help people, and I'm trying to let you know that what the real skinny is, and don't be listening to all these people talking about this stuff, and don't be emboldened by the fact that a few women have gotten some fairly nice settlements. It's 1 in a million, and you probably are going to be the one that loses out. So just be careful what you report. Anyway, thanks a lot, and you folks have a nice day.